Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to Cherry and Timber Talk, a home test series special. And so glad to see Test cricket back in India. Not glad to see what's happening in Chepauk in terms of the
They're
run.
giving a sabuk in Chepauk.
I think we are back to reality, right? After seeing a really hard-fought contest between bat and ball in Australia, and now we are seeing this kind of a run fest, and Indian team toiling hard. I think. I hope that the pitch changes its colors in the second innings and makes it more interesting for the viewer, and it doesn't become a dull draw. But yeah, let's see what in store.
No, it's
So
like
we
this.
have
After a dream sequence, usually there is a hard knock. So it's okay.
yeah.
That was a dream sequence. We all deserved it. After whatever happened last year, everyone deserved it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's good realization, isn't it? Like, there are highs to life and there are also, periods of struggle. I also think
Yeah.
this is probably the best way the series could have started. The worst thing that
And
could
it's
have
not a
happened.
struggle. These things happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying the best thing because look, it's a 4 test series, right? The worst outcome would have been England bundled out for 200 on day one,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then India taking control and sort of imposing themselves all over England, right?
Yeah.
And that would have only meant the series is probably then going one way, right? Now
Correct.
this one is great because they're going to make India work harder, and
Yes.
India will now have to think outside of the box to see, okay, how are we going to respond to this? Within 2 days, they put 50 overs in Ashwin's legs, and that's great because
Yeah. That too
it's
in
now
home
going to become,
conditions.
yeah, that means you now realize 4 test matches have
Yeah.
20 days on the park,
Yes.
and then English team is saying,
Yeah.
okay, we can make sure we're playing for 20 days if there is, if it comes to that, and that's superb, isn't it?
Correct. I agree. And Mahesh, I think we all anticipated this, that we felt that after the Australian series, England cannot be taken as pushovers, and it's good for the game that they've shown this intent right in the first test itself. That shows that they are here to compete, they are here to show the world that they are also one of the best teams in the world, and they
Yeah.
deserve a spot in the WTC finals, right? So I think that kind of has kind of picked up the contest to another level. So it's good to
Yeah.
see that, right?
Very good to see that. In fact,
Yep.
India have always been slow starters when they travel. For the first time I'm seeing them struggling in home conditions.
no, in
But
fact,
but
it happened. It's happened. Like, we must remember England when they came last time, they struggled first test. India struggled first test. And even when Australia at Pune.
Pune.
Yeah.
but I think that the pitches was looking pretty good for batting. So I don't know how much it's going to trouble India when they go out to bat. If India can bat out about a day and a half, then we are looking at a draw. Okay, because it's 3.5 days gone, and I don't think England will be able to bundle us out twice in 3 days. Highly unlikely, but you never know. Funny things have happened in cricket, and but we have a good batting lineup this time. I mean, we are playing full strength at least as far as our batting is concerned. So it would be very surprising if they bundle us out twice on that wicket, unless the wicket starts changing. There were certain balls that really came up. Okay, there was uneven bound. There was a fair bit of turn at times, but they've been otherwise it's been pretty okay. I think more than what the England batsman did. But in fact, Joe Root played a brilliant inning. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
When he was batting, there were no fielders in the park. It was as good as that. He was beautiful to watch. But I think the Indian bowlers also contributed to that. There were too many loose balls and too many no balls. If you keep leaking runs so much, I think then you're going to struggle.
Correct. I agree. And I think, Nishad, it's fair to say that the pitch, generally we should make an opinion about it once both the teams have batted on it, right? So that kind of gives you a fair idea in terms of how it starts behaving in a certain way or no. Yes, we have seen that it's definitely more batting friendly as of now, but we have seen 2 days of action now. Obviously, in Indian conditions, generally after 2 days, the pitches start to break up. So it will be interesting to see how India go around and, go about it, and how England kind of come back with their bowling lineup now that they've put India on the park for 2 days. That will be interesting to watch if, they'll be tired legs when they're batting. So, it's an interesting contest on hand.
Exactly. And I actually felt that, they will give India half an hour today with the bat. And I think they are just going to bat big. Go back to 1984 when at 84-85 when actually England had won the Test match, and back then, like as Mike Gadding said, their strategy was to bat once and to bat big. So possibly that is one of their strategies. Also the fact that but then again, who knows? India could possibly score huge runs, and it could be just a big dull draw that that is possible. So I think England are backing themselves obviously to do the job, and I think Joe Root was fantastic, no question about it. A real Dhaka batsman. I think he's their best Test batsman in recent times. I rate him over Alistair Cook any day. So yes, because you know what, if Test cricket is to have a leading run scorer, it has to be a Dada batsman like a Joe Root and not someone like an Alistair Cook, who could have been a lot more aggressive. He had the game, but he simply didn't. He could have been even a greater one-day batsman. So there's a bit of my bias, but I feel Joe Root is definitely England's best in Test cricket.
Interesting. That's a pretty bold comment, Nishant. I'm sure a lot of Cook fans will not agree with you, but that's your opinion. That's fine.
No, he's a fine batsman, no doubt. But you would rather have a Joe Root, with all the batting records than an Alistair Cook.
Interesting. Okay, we have Siddharth joining us. Hi, Siddharth. Good to see you guys. See you, man. Interesting comment by Siddharth while we were discussing. So, Yogesh, you can maybe take this question. Did the saliva ban have an impact on India's show? Bumrah said it, and what's your take? That's an interesting point because, in home conditions, generally people talk a lot about spin, but, reverse swing plays a huge, huge part, right? We have seen Shami, we have seen Umesh Yadav. A lot of these guys exploited because of the way that, they shine the ball. And I think somewhere I'm sure I overheard Pant, once, when the ball was going to Pujara, right?
Nobody overhears Pant.
Oh yeah, he was loud and clear. He was loud and clear, but I think he mentioned to Pujara that Puji bhai ball pe kaam karo. I think that's something which he mentioned, and I think he meant that work on the ball to get it to shine from one side and make it heavy, right?
Yeah, and I think these are the things people will now have to get used to until the time we come out through this treacherous passage in human history, to be honest with you. And so it will have impact, but it's just great. At least we've got cricket, there will obviously be dimensions which will get impacted, and I think right from yesterday first session, even Virat was telling people don't throw the ball on the pitch too much because it's becoming softer and things like that. So it just takes away the reverse swing dimension out of the game, and I think whatever success India had today actually showed that if you are able to reverse the ball, you can still find a way to come back into the game. The couple of wickets that Ishant Sharma got today, beautiful ball tailing in, but obviously it's becoming harder now. Interesting, we're talking about reverse swing and how saliva is affecting that now that we are in India. When we were in Australia, we weren't talking about it so much because that kind of tells you how different situations will have different impact and how things can go very differently from one country to another, from one situation and context to another.
Yeah, and what is interesting to see is that this was a different kind of an SG ball. It's a newly made SG ball which was used with a harder cork and with a more pronounced seam. And still, if they're saying that it's becoming soft after a few overs, it's quite interesting to hear from the cricketer's point of view, right? So, yeah, it's nice to see how things are changing and how they can they can adapt to these kind of new conditions and new rules, right? So that's something interesting to watch. And Mahesh, what about Ishant Sharma? Sorry, Yogesh, go ahead.
Sorry about this, but just a funny thing. With all of these balls, it's always only the bowlers that get impacted, because they have to live with the ball they've been given. For the batsman, they can change the bat from a heavier bat to a slightly lighter one and all those kinds of things. But bowlers, they just have to live with. Okay, you go in Australia, you get one kind of ball. You come to India, you get another one. Even in India, they will say, okay, we've had enough of the old kind of a ball, so we'll introduce a new one.
And that's why they say, right, cricket, the game of glorious uncertainties, because of the fact that we have so many different conditions to contend with. The ball, the pitch, the outfield, the playing
All of
conditions,
it.
the overcast or not, all those kind of things come into the picture, right? So that's why it's so interesting to watch these kind of series everywhere around the world, right? Because everything brings a new dimension, and how do you adapt to it? That's the whole aspect of Test cricket, right? Yeah, sorry, Mahesh, I was coming to you about Ishant Sharma, right? He's also approaching a landmark, and I think the way he has come back in this second wave of his career, it's commendable, right?
Beautifully bowled. He bowled beautifully, right? I mean, those 2 wickets that he got, back-to-back wickets, fantastic bowling. The change that I've seen Ishant Sharma is after his county stint is that he's pitching the ball 6, 8,
Up.
10 inches up, and that's the reason why he's become a fantastic bowler. And he's got the tendency to get the ball in, and some of the ball that just straightens after pitching is a ball that gets him a lot of wickets. So he's a very improved bowler. My only concern with Ishant Sharma is you can't bowl him too much because he's also very injury prone. And if he's going to bowl 30, 40 overs in an innings or in a match, I think India might need another set of fast bowlers getting ready. They can all come back now. Shami can come back. Umesh Yadav can come back. They can all come back. But I think otherwise he's a very good bowler, at least in Test cricket.
Of course, yes. And I think, Nisha, probably, was it you who tweeted, or I read somewhere on Twitter that, he's the guy who does the hard yards for Indian cricket, in Test cricket. He bowls the tough overs wherein nothing is happening, but he'll still hold one end up and, try to bring that control and, try to keep one end tight.
And he'll do it when the ball isn't doing anything. Neither is it reversing, nor is it moving early on. He's got to rely on whatever he's got, which is very little. And it goes back to 3 years ago. You remember the test match that India won in Johannesburg. And that test match, on that minefield of a wicket, for some time, nothing was happening. And they were one down, Dean Elgar, Hashim Amla going strong. And Ishant was the one bowling continuously, and he gets the wicket out of nowhere. Just creates the opportunity. And then the others at the other end, Shami, Bhuvneshwar, they got the other wickets. Bumrah was also a part of the side, I think. So you see, he creates those kind of chances.
Correct.
And he'll bowl in those overs, in those phases where there isn't much happening. And he's been phenomenal. Actually, you do a comparison. In fact, I did it some time ago. Zaheer Khan, first 6 years of Test cricket, 37 Test matches, average of 37 or something. Next half of Test cricket, average comes down significantly and more wickets. The same has happened with Ishant. And I think Ishant, in fact, has been a little better. Obviously, he's had support from the other end with Zaheer, but Zaheer had to do a lot of that himself. At the same time, groom and Ishant Sharma. But it's a result of all that. This is a result of Zaheer Khan's grooming, that Ishant is there, whatever he is now, having bowled with Zaheer in all those years and having an attack. It's a reward to Ishant, obviously, and it's a reward to India.
And interestingly, both of them had similar kind of starts to their career. Both were tearaway fast bowlers, with a lot of pace. And now, if you see, both have, become that specific workhorse, like kind of a bowler.
But Ishant's pace is still there. Like, it's not like it's slow.
It's not as quick as it used to be, but anyway, I mean, I agree. Yeah, it's still there and thereabouts. It's kind of, in the fast medium category, not a tearaway fast bowler category. Yeah. So, but I think the disconcerting bounce that he gets, that's the whole, thing that kind of makes him more potent, especially on foreign soil. And now we saw what he did today, with the reverse swing as well, right? So that was another aspect.
And today is just one more thing, like the marker as to how well Joe Root played. He dug out a Jasprit Bumrah Yorker. He dug it out with precision. So that tells you how well he batted.
Correct. Yeah, Yogesh, you were saying something.
Yeah, just coming to Ishant Sharma then. And I think in Test cricket, you don't really need super speed, so to speak. I mean, once you've got great control, which Ishant now has, like Mahesh was saying, he's now pitching it up. He's able to straighten the ball out. And one of the things that used to happen with Ishant of the older lot is there was a release ball that he used to bowl regularly. And so even if you bowl like 4 or 5 really good balls and you give one to the batsman, you take the pressure away. And now what's happening with Ishant is he's patient enough to be able to, land all those 6 balls in relatively good areas and not worry about manufacturing something that's like a miracle delivery, so to speak. And I think that works wonders for him. So you now see that the length is up, the line is outside off, and he's willing to be patient there, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
and any lateral movement, then he's able to cash in, and he provides that control together with Jadeja. I think this is what really works well for India when two bowlers are able
Yep.
to give 2 runs or thereabouts, right?
Yep.
It then makes batsmen take risks again against people like Ashwin or other bowlers,
Yep.
and that opens up opportunities for people like Bumrah, Ashwin, etc., to take wickets. And
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
just as we say that batsmen work together in pair,
Hmm.
etc.,
Hmm.
with bowling, that's even more important. As to okay, are there going to be bowlers who are going to hold things together and then create
Hmm.
opportunities for others to take wickets? So yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I think, and that's something which the Australian team of the 90s also did, right? And the early 2000, McGrath and Vaughan and all these guys,
correct.
right? They used to hunt in pairs, not just the fast bowlers, but even McGrath and Vaughan, the way they used to operate,
Oh yeah,
The McGrath will give nothing away, and and it was so hard to get Vaughan away, right? So that's
yeah,
that's the beauty of what it was, right? And that's why they were so dominant, because you just did not get a loose delivery anywhere at all, when these two
yeah,
guys were bowling. And Jason Gillespie was like our Ishant Sharma, right? He used to be there all the time,
Yeah.
He was bringing that control to the attack as well. So there are some interesting comments here, guys. Hey Manish, hi, nice to join you after a long time. Good to see you here. Anurag says that looking at how feisty our batting lineup is, I won't be surprised if we score at 4 and over tomorrow. I think,
yeah,
yes, I think more than surprised, I expect them to score at 4 and over
yeah.
because these are home conditions. Pitch is good, outfield is fast, ground is small. So I think that everything works in our favor. So yeah, I think
Oh,
that's pretty much how it is. Suvajit says that every time I see bowlers bowling in these conditions, my respect grows for Kapil Dev and his numbers,
oh,
of
massive,
course. Kapil Dev, and
massive.
I'll add Javagal Srinath also, Suvajit, to this list. I mean,
And with hardly anyone at the other end.
exactly. Lone workhorses, right?
Did
So
Sunil Gavaskar also open the bowling once?
Yes, he did.
more than
He did.
once.
He did. He
Yeah,
did. Yes.
but for a different reason. You get to
Yeah.
take the shine
Yeah,
off the ball.
Budhi
exactly.
Kunderan has also opened the bowling.
Sorry.
Budhi
Budhi
Kundaran.
Kunderan
Yeah,
Yeah.
has also opened the bowling in a test
Yeah.
match where he was not keeping wickets.
but
Correct.
then not as late as that. Even Saurav Ganguly did. So Indian fast
Ganguly,
So
bowling has
yes.
gone through.
there is one story that a batsman was given the ball to take off the shine, and this was in the pre-Kapil Dev days, and he was actually a decent bowler. He wasn't like they just gave him because he was in the team for his batting, and he
Yeah.
apparently told the Indian captain that I want a gully, and the Indian captain told him, no, the Indian captain told him, shut up and do your job. You're just here to bowl 2-3 overs and take the shine off. Next ball, the opening batsman edged it through gully for 4.
I told you so moment.
Yes. No, but because he was more than a decent bowler and the captain didn't know how good he was in domestic level, where he used to actually bowl useful overs for his side.
That's so much like,
So now again,
yeah.
on this point, nowadays there's so much information you can have about every player who plays in the team. Which
Yeah.
back in the day, I mean, there
Exactly.
wasn't footage of the domestic games for you to rely on, or numbers
Yeah.
could only tell as much a
Correct.
story really. But
Yep.
now I think you pretty much know who can do what.
Exactly. That bowler sounds like me, Nishad. Every time I go to my captain, I'll say three slips and a gully, man, irrespective of what I'm bowling.
At least
All
you're
right.
sending a strong signal to the batsman, yeah, कि
Yeah,
मेरे
yeah,
पास कुछ है.
yeah. So okay,
Double
so
bluff, they
just,
call it.
I mean, so I'm actually the laughing stock of my team when it comes to bowling, So it's like always my bowling style is right arm over the wicket. I don't know what's coming out of my hand, so that's what I do. All right, Siddharth has a interesting comment here. About Nadeem versus Kuldeep, and I think that's a fair comment
Yeah.
here, Siddharth. And he asks us what is our take, Mahesh. I think I have a slightly different perspective here to Siddharth, Mahesh.
You shared it very well on Facebook last
Oh yeah,
night.
unfortunately, Rihanna did not respond to my to my tweet and my comment. I was hoping that she gives us an expert opinion. No, unfortunately, I didn't get one. Yeah, but okay, jokes apart, Mahesh. I think see, I understand the Nadeem factor in terms of experience, but in terms of the guy traveling with the team, being with the team, Kuldeep, and I feel somewhere it's unfair on him as well, right? Because if you're in the side and to get a guy in the at the last moment and try to fit him in, I feel it's sending a very different message to him, right? For his confidence as well.
That aside, I would still back Kuldeep to be in the 11 simply because
Exactly.
I always believe wrist spinners are always wicket-taking bowlers.
Exactly.
I mean, they've got variation, and this guy is a Chinaman, and he'll always surprise. An Englishman wouldn't have played him too much, right? So he would have been definitely a better option than Nadeem, but then the team management thought that Nadeem is a better option, and they went with it. But Kuldeep Yadav, you're right, has been getting a pretty raw deal. The poor guy sees players from outside coming in and playing in the 11, and he's just waiting and watching. Net bowlers coming and playing. He's still waiting for his turn to come. I think we should start giving him more confidence by getting him to play. I know he was not in the best of form, but then everybody goes through that phase in life, right? I mean, you've got to give him. And leg spin is an art, or the wrist spin is an art where you need a lot of confidence because the control is extremely difficult, whether it's right or left arm, whatever you're bowling, it's very difficult. So you need to give him a lot of confidence. He is going to go for runs, but then he's the guy who's going to get you wickets. Probably if you would have played Kuldeep, maybe we could have got a few more wickets earlier on.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, right? Wrist spin is always slightly difficult to contend with, and it gets that dip in the air and kind of grips the surface, and you generally tend to get extra bounce as well, right? So I think that's something.
And it turns also, right? With the wrist,
and it turns it both
ways
as well.
Yeah,
both ways as well, right? That helps a lot.
One more point. I mean, just on another note, I think the umpiring has been of very good standard.
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
We have to comment. Nobody comments when they are
much better than what it was in Australia, Nishad, right?
Exactly. I think so far. And it's not easy in these conditions. Plus the kind of pressure, I think Indian umpires do face a lot more scrutiny and pressure, a lot from the fans, and it's just grown because of social media. But having seen a lot of these umpires work personally, they are very hardworking. They are doing their best out there. They are backing each other as a team. And as you can see, Shamshuddin, when he took the third umpire call and he told that it is good decision.
Well done.
That is good work.
Yeah, it's very good
work. And finally, you are having Nitin Menon as one of the ICC elite umpires. So this actually may be a big shot in the arm for Indian umpiring, which a lot of people are not talking about. So we must give them. There was one edge that they missed. That is fine. It happens. But overall, the game has been very good so far by the umpires.
I agree. Completely agree. Yes.
No doubt about that. Fantastic umpiring, I thought.
Yes. I think you made a point there, Mahesh, about Kuldeep being a Chinaman. Probably he's a Chinaman in the wrong era right now, the way where we are living in. That's why he's not getting selected.
One thing on that then, I mean, obviously everybody's thinking that Kuldeep should have played. What if Indian selection was actually informed by what happened in Sri Lanka? So the only guy who had semblance of success against England was a conventional left-arm spinner, Embuldenia. And actually having seen Nadeem bowl, obviously we've seen him bowling in IPL as well, right? He bowls good lines and good lengths, right? So he's got those 400 wickets. So he's worked hard for those. And so I think Indian team might have actually been
which is what even Siddharth is saying, which is fair. Yeah,
which I think is okay. And look, I mean, let us our memory not fail so quickly. 4 test matches and things change with every test match, and so who knows, India might bring in Kuldeep Yadav when there's a bit more, when they were assessed how the series is panning out and all of that, and then I think they would have wanted to go with the gut, thinking that Nadeem is bowling well, he's come with good record and all of that. It's only now only because the pitch has been such and Root has batted so well that people have been talking about Kuldeep, and now have Kuldeep and Nadeem. Now, if England had fallen apart, same people would have said another masterstroke from the Indian management. I'd just say, okay, this is great flexibility in thinking. For far too often, Indian teams have been blamed of not being adaptable enough, and now you see the signs of those. That when they see things, they change things, they bring in people, horses for courses, whether it is injury driven or strategy driven. But I think we should welcome that. And I'm sure, Kuldeep has done well in the past. They will find a way of getting him back in. Maybe they would have probably looked at the pitch and thought that you need somebody who can probably bowl a touch faster also, because Kuldeep tends to bowl slower in the air. Now, if you've seen the pitch, it's not given any kind of kick at all. And if there was any criticism of Kuldeep in the past, it was that sometimes the pace that he was bowling wasn't quick enough to get him wickets, unless there was assistance in the surface, and this surface has had none so far. So I guess you also got to look at it from a different point of view.
One question to you all.
Yeah.
Who's the only Indian player in the current side who's played a Ranji match with Dhoni?
Nadeem?
Yes, because he made his debut at the age of 15 in 2003, 2004 or something, and Dhoni played that season. So he played alongside Dhoni, and that's how long he's been there. And he's been getting wickets tirelessly. And I think guys like him deserve a bit of luck.
Correct.
Last time, I mean, he could have been on the Australia trip. If all these injuries, he could have gotten a chance there.
Yeah.
But, in Ranchi, he was called up last minute, he got that. So guys like him, Fawad, whom we spoke about last time, they need that bit of luck. They've got the quality. And who knows? I mean, what happens? He may get more wickets tomorrow and play again, be considered next test match, gets more wickets, you know. So let's not judge him on this. I think on his debut back in 2019, he bowled well. I think we should.
Here's my question to you, Nishad. I mean, and this is an interesting question because had Shami been fit, would you have played Shami instead of Nadeem with 3 fast bowlers and 2 spinners, or what would you have?
I would have played these spinners. I would have played 3 spinners, considering what happened in Sri Lanka and also maybe conditions, and just 2 fast bowlers, because in India playing 3 fast bowlers, it just somehow doesn't make that much sense.
Okay, so let me put it the other way.
Unless you have an all-rounder, of course.
No, so if you had to pick 2 fast bowlers out of Shami, Ishant and Bumrah, what would you pick?
That's a tough one. That's a really
that was my point, right? So
and then Umesh gets fit.
In Umesh as well, correct.
That's what I was telling Cyrus. Can we have 15 on the park like hockey and have rolling substitutions?
And India might actually be well served to actually, rotate some of these. Like, you could bring in Shami for Ishant that way. I mean, you already know that, okay, you can get 20 overs out of Ishant, but you can't expect 40. So the question that you asked, whether we would have gone with 3 seamers, unlikely, because Nadeem bowled close to 50 overs. I think 45 plus or something like that, right? You don't expect a fast bowler to bowl as many. Knowing also Shami's gone through injury, and so has Umesh Yadav. So you need spinners to do bulk of the work in Indian subcontinent at least, and then you have fast bowlers who come in as enforcers or controllers, and they'll have that sort of a role.
Agree. Interesting comment here. I think we all saw that post right on social media about even in 2016, right? We had high-scoring games, but still India managed to either win them or draw them, right? So that was another interesting thing, because we can't write off India right now in this test match. That's number one. Number two is we can't even write off an Indian win as well, right? So because with what happened before, and even if you see what happened in Adelaide in 2003, right? Australia scored 550 odd runs, right? But again, that was scored in almost a day and a half. That was the only difference. Yeah, so that was, again, Australia's strength became their weakness, because since they scored it so quickly, we could have time to come back into the game. So
Venu, I think that could be the reason why England are going to bat tomorrow for some more time. So they're virtually ensuring that they will not lose from there, right? They're consuming a lot of time, so that there is not enough time for them to come back again and bat. So probably that's another way of looking at it. That's their strategy. That's fine.
That's the right strategy, honestly.
Correct. I mean, first you ensure that you don't lose, right? I mean, before you go for the win. Secondly, I think India have got like what you said correctly. I mean, the match is still not over for India. In 2 days, if India can smash about 650, 700 runs and then bowl them out for about 100 runs, which is always a possibility. The Indian spinners can come in. Ashwin on that wicket on a 5th day in Chennai can be quite a handful.
For Mahesh, Mahesh, sorry about this, but you've said India scoring 600, 700. Assuming India do so well on third and fourth day, how do you expect the pitch to fall apart on fifth day that dramatically?
The pitch may be bad, but I think we are confident enough to score runs, right?
But then I think, to Mahesh's point, if you saw what happened in Sri Lanka as well, England in those fourth inning chases were actually slightly iffy, right? They lost a lot of early wickets. And if we can put pressure on them chasing 200 odd, that could also be a possibility.
If they field for 2 days, mind you, they're going to really struggle on the fifth day because that heat is going to sap everybody's energy.
Yeah.
I think do what Sri Lanka did at Premadasa in '97. Just India scored those runs in 1.5 days, and these guys just batted and batted and batted.
No draw, nothing. Batathon.
So, Rohit Sharma double 100, Virat Kohli triple 100, and maybe who knows, Rishabh Pant another quick fire double 100. Yeah. So yeah.
I think that's asking too much, but at least bat 2 days out and.
Yeah.
Maybe just keep them at bay, like how Pujara was saying at Ranchi in 2017. They knew that winning the game was difficult, so they just decided to put the shutters down, which is why he batted the way he did.
Yeah, so I mean, that was a very docile pitch as well, right, in Ranchi. So that game as well. So, but I definitely expect something to happen on this Chennai wicket, because given the history of Chennai, Chepauk, right, obviously this wicket is slightly different, but the way things are drying up on the pitch and, the way the ball is slightly misbehaving now, like Mahesh mentioned earlier, I expect something to happen at least. So if not dramatically, but some assistance for the spinners in the second innings. Yeah, I hope so. Because, the fast bowlers are also hitting the pitch hard and making foot marks and stuff, right? So that might also create an impact somewhere. All right. Interesting, guys. Lots to talk about today. Let's see what happens in the second innings. I'm looking forward to seeing Virat Kohli, how he goes, because, we are seeing him after a break and we haven't seen a Kohli special for a long, long time. So I expect him to kind of bounce back and, announce himself to the world in 2021. So let's see.
And as someone said the other day on Twitter, Rohit Sharma is due for a double 100 because he was involved in a run out.
Yeah. He better score one, man. Yesterday's dolly that he dropped. I mean, today's dolly that he dropped. I'm in a different time zone. Sorry. So yeah,
it is still today for you. It was only 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago.
A few hours ago. Yeah, agreed. But yesterday night. So yeah, today morning. Okay. All right. Let's see, guys, and hope to see some good action. And I'm looking forward to an exciting Test series. Good to see England play the way they have.
Well,
and I think it's always good to see some competitive cricket being played instead of seeing them pushed over. So definitely a good series on the line. So let's hope for some exciting action, and we'll be back next week, guys. Thanks a lot for joining. And thank you, audience. Take care. Cheers, guys.
Bye.